Hey everyone, Shabby here and welcome back to a video where myself and Mr. PJ Tovey
Hello.
are going to recap what we thought of NXT Takeover. Hopefully we're going to remember most of it because we had a few beers at the time, so...
Yeah, we had to do it in two halves because I fell asleep on the first run.
Yeah, citation needed.
Yeah.
We almost got buggered over because we did not realise they'd moved it to Friday.
Yeah, so as we was trying to make plans for it, we'd looked on the schedule and realised that they'd shifted Takeover to the Friday night and Hall of Fame to the Saturday night.
Yeah.
So, ill-prepared, we tried our hardest, and I believe I got to the UK Championship match and fell asleep.
Yeah, at that point we didn't want to continue. I want to make sure PJ Tovey was at full effect to enjoy that match because it was the match we were looking for the most of the entire weekend.
Yes, and to avoid spoilers, we couldn't go on any social formats because it would have given us the results. So it was a long day.
We did pretty well to avoid it, I think. We'll start things off then with the opening match of the night, which was the Tag Team Championship match.
Yeah, the Wall Raiders versus Ricochet and Alistair Black.
I think I made myself clear when we originally spoke about this match that I was not... I mean, the match was always going to be great.
Yeah.
However, there was a lot of discounters for the match for me. I wasn't a fan of the fact that two singles wrestlers won a tag team tournament.
Yeah.
I also wasn't a fan of the fact that we knew how this match was going to end because we know that Ricochet and Alistair Black have already moved on to the main roster.
So yeah, if they weren't to have moved to the main roster, we might have taken it a bit more in to go, you know what, it might happen, but we all knew what the result would be.
Yeah, and it was, and they were wrong, it was a fantastic match in the process. NXT do tag team wrestling so well. It's just a shame that Vince has no idea what he's doing, but it was a really good match. It was an enjoyable match. It was just a little bit disappointing because we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't ever going to be a surprise, and it was a great way to start the show and a great way to start WrestleMania weekend. And I think the ending with the show of respect from the two teams and then Ricochet and Alistair Black effectively saying goodbye to the fans was a nice little touch as well.
Yeah, a good little touch, and as you said, a great opener to Takeover. But again, if it was a different tag team, then maybe it would have been just that little bit more enjoyable to know that either team could go for the title. But as you said, we knew the outcome going in, so yeah, good start to the event.
Yeah. The next match then was Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle for the North American Championship.
Yes.
Now this one did get me because I was convinced Riddle was going to win and Velveteen was moving up.
But surprised us all with Velveteen winning.
Yeah, which he's done a lot of times over the last year, to be honest with you. And again, it was another fantastic match for Velveteen.
Yeah, very hard hitting. You know, some of the famous ball bearing in the boot notions. You know, Matt Riddle wrestles bare feet, so some of the strikes that he was going on Velveteen, you knew there was an element that really hurt.
Oh, that knee strike was insane.
Yeah.
I don't know, he doesn't knock people out clean with that.
But for the first two matches, to have both people retain, it was just a bit, okay, so where are we going to go from here? Because they tend to really shift the titles around at TakeOver, but for the first two matches, it was like, okay, we'll just keep it as it is.
I mean, it's an interesting one. As I said before, this is my favourite takeover of the year and also my least favourite because you come into it not thinking who's going to win. You come into it thinking who's going to get promoted.
Yeah.
And I really thought the Riddle was going to win for the sole reason that Velveteen was going to get promoted to the main roster. And I think now with Velveteen keeping his belt, I feel like Velveteen's not going to get promoted.
No.
And I think it might be too early for Riddle. However, with his age, they might push him earlier.
Yeah, because he's in his 30s, and at the end of the day, time isn't really on his side. You know, and I think Vince should really tap on the fact that he was a former MMA fighter. It's worked well for Lesnar. It's worked well for Rousey. To a degree, it's worked for Lashley. But I think it'll get a fantastic reaction if Riddle was to appear on either Raw or SmackDown after Mania.
I think he'd do really well on merchandise as well tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think Vince does seem to really enjoy this MMA style, and to be honest, you've got Lesnar, you've got Rousey, you've got Lashley, but none of them are really what you would say as someone who can put on a fantastic wrestling match. Mm-hmm. But Matt Riddle is someone who can do that. I mean, Lesnar's got his own way of doing things, and it worked well for the first couple of times, but now it's a bit tedious.
Yeah.
Whereas Riddle is someone who could evolve and have some cracking matches, so it'd be pretty cool to see.
Definitely.
Then after that, we had the big one.
The Pete Dunne versus Volta for the UK Championship.
Volta.
And again, it was a great match.
It was so hard hitting, and
it was like if WWE was trying to go for the same sort of style as New Japan.
Yeah.
In the way that the shoot fight, the stiff slaps, the stiff chops, the punches, it was a fight.
The snapping of the fingers.
Yeah, it was an outright brawl. And it was only a matter of time before Pete Dunne was to lose his championship 685 days.
Yeah, it had to happen eventually, didn't it? It was always going to happen, and now it gives a chance for somebody else to be in control. And I think having a big, strong heel as control of that roster is pretty good. Just to make sure we've got someone who's legitimately going to challenge him, because I struggle to think of anyone on that roster apart from Pete Dunne who would be a genuine challenger.
Very true. I mean, Walter can lead the line for NXT UK to really be their main championship bearer. Maybe he'll have a rematch with Pete Dunne along the way, but
I'd love to see Cassius Ohno versus Walter.
That would be stiff.
That would
best
be
way to
yeah.
not to make me stiff, but it would be stiff.
I don't know. It could be both, to be honest. But the ending as well. That super powerbomb. We've seen him do a super powerbomb before, but it's normally a sit out.
Yeah.
He launched him.
He threw him like a long dart.
And the super sleeper suplex from the top as well.
Dropped him on his head.
Yeah, and the big splash from Walter. I don't think I've ever seen Walter go to the top before to fly that way, and he went more than halfway across the ring.
He did, and it was a Val Venus-esque money shot of a.
It was very impressive.
Yeah, very.
For a big man like that.
So to take it away from the card, so far that would have been the match of the night.
Yeah, I would have been more happy if that was the match of the weekend.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think that nothing at WrestleMania is going to do. So I've always said that NXT is there for the wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And WrestleMania is there for the casual fans. I've always said that. But that, yeah, for me, at that point in time, that was the best match of the entire weekend.
Well, we've pretty much got to mention as well, before we go into the next match, the famous who's going to arrive in the crowd.
Yep.
And we've seen a couple of new people. So we know that Toni Storm is the NXT UK. Is she the women's champion? Or is that still Rhea Ripley?
No, I think she's. Yeah, she beat Ripley, I think.
She beat Ripley.
I think she did. I don't know, to be honest.
So, yeah. Also there was Piper Niven. Scottish female wrestler. Gone up and down the UK scene. She's gone to Japan. She's worked over there. So a fantastic asset. I know she was in the Mae Young Classic tournament as well.
Yep.
So I believe that's a major push for her to possibly be in the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania.
I think she will, definitely.
But a big mainstay for the NXT UK brand.
I'm a bit confused. I don't know if they've actually brought her in as Piper Niven. I think when I saw the reports, they were actually calling her Viper by her actual UK wrestling name.
Okay.
So that could be an interesting one. Of course, she didn't sign up straight away with the rest of the people because I think she was contracted with World of Sport.
Oh yeah,
which is why it's been a little bit longer. And we've seen a few more people join NXT UK recently when the World of Sport contracts have expired.
Yeah. You had Dave Mastiff as well, who came over from World of Sport. I mean, again, we don't want to go off subject, but the World of Sport was a great idea from Alex Shane, bringing in Jim Ross on the commentary, to have Stu Bennett come in as the authority figure. I think that it definitely made the WWE really focus more on the NXT UK, to know that they've got some real serious competition, where World of Sport was airing on free-to-air television on the ITV network.
Yeah.
So they saw it as a genuine competition, and they've gone out their way to basically tie down as many British, European talents as they possibly could.
It's a bit like I've done with the roster in the universe mode. I've really made it much more of a European hub for wrestling, which I think it will be.
Yeah.
And I believe this is just a start. I think Triple H's anticipation is to do another one. I think Australia is the next one by all accounts.
Yeah.
And then one in Japan and one in Mexico is the future as well, by the looks of it. Anyway.
And talking of Japan, Kushida has signed. They had a vignette of him signing his contract, and then to have him in the crowd, where the crowd went absolutely crazy. We knew that Kushida's time in Japan was coming to a close. I believe he's in his mid to late 30s.
He is, yeah.
So I think he's done all he could, working in the time splitters and working in the...
Yeah, I don't think he was ever given that big push. He was always in the junior heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Of course, MMA as well. He's got an MMA background as well.
Okay. A massive signing. Hopefully it works out better than Hideo Itami. They need to learn from their mistakes there to bring in over Asian talent. You know, Shinsuke, we've always said this, in NXT, he had the opportunity to wrestle his style. Unfortunately, he got to the main roster and dropped John Cena on his head, which then muted down his traits, as it were. So
even though John Cena apologised, he knew that was his fault. John Cena apologised after that suplex, but
Vince McMahon would never go against his moneymaker.
No.
So unfortunately, Shinsuke suffered for that. So hopefully Kushida does not go in the same way they did.
And we now know Kushida's gimmick as well, which is going to be wearing hats that are far too small for his head. That's his new gimmick, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just like little perched little ones. Little top hats, that's pretty cool.
Definitely a great signing for them. So, the women's 4-way match for the NXT Women's Championship.
Again, another surprising result I was not expecting. I said in my Advent calendar match, anybody could win it apart from Shayna.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said, and Shayna went and won it.
Yes.
Which confused me because I'm still convinced that they're going to, with Ronda coming into her last year of a contract, doesn't look like she's going to sign again. I was convinced they were going to go for the 4 Horsewomen versus the 4 Horsewomen feud, which they probably can still do.
Yeah.
But it would have made more sense to have Shayna on the main roster.
It's a massive comment for me. It is possibly one of the best women's matches I've seen coming out of NXT.
Yeah, it's a big comment.
You know, there was not a lot of botches. It was well made. It was well done. The teamwork between Shirai and Kairi Sane
they're so in sync, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely brilliant. They are primed to be going up to the main roster to go for the Women's Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, they have to be.
But again, just the overall match itself, and for the shock finish with Shayna Baszler nicking the win.
Yeah. Because
it was edge-like. It was taking advantage of the situation, and very surprised she won it.
Yeah, as well. I think Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, like you said about they're going to be women's tag team champions soon, because we're watching the actual women's tag teams now, and the Iconics are good, but they're still quite green.
Yeah.
Bailey and Sasha, I think, are still struggling with trying to create tag team maneuvers. They're not quite used to that style, and it's been a bit difficult for them here and there. I just feel they need a real smooth tag team to do it, and I think they would be perfect for it.
I don't know if anyone on this channel would be familiar to a tag team once known as the Jumping Bomb Angels. And they were a Japanese female tag team that came into the WWF in the late 80s. And they were facing people like Lalani Kai and Velvet McIntyre. They were so ahead of their time, where I'd look at Shirai and Kairi Sane just to go, they're the new Angels. They are just a fantastic tag team. So good luck to them.
Yeah, I think they'll do pretty well. And again, that's another championship retain then. So the only championship retained hands so far was the UK one.
It was. And that's where we get to the main event, where the title was on the line for both, because Tommaso Ciampa had to revoke his championship due to his neck injury. So it was all determined that Johnny Gargano was always the number 1 contender, but he needed an opponent. To which the massive 5-way match on NXT TV, where it consisted of Adam Cole, Matthew Riddle, Alistair Black, Velveteen, and was it Ricochet?
I want to say Ricochet, yeah, I'm not sure if it was. But...
So what a match that was. I watched it, it was absolutely phenomenal. And Adam Cole, I think I said from the beginning, was most likely to get the shot, as he would have been the heel to go for Johnny Gargano as a face. I was a bit concerned with it being 2 out of 3 falls, because I thought, how long can they engage the audience after the previous 4 matches? The match started slow, and that's always tending to be the case when you're having a long, drawn-out 45-minute match.
Mm-hmm.
And although I had concerns at the beginning, they went through the match, and then they had a script in. The storytelling of the match was fantastic. The near falls, the spots that were in the match. It was a fantastic match. I don't know if it was 5-star. I would say 4.5 star, if you're going off Dave Meltzer's wrestling ratings. The interference with the Undisputed Era played a major factor.
Yeah, good storytelling still, isn't it?
And the odds were against Johnny Gargano, and he came out victor.
Yeah, he did, yeah. I did say before the match, I just had this feeling in my head that I wasn't sure, because this was a real weird one for me, because I thought both these guys should be promoted straight after Takeover. But then as I thought about it more and more, I thought that Gargano would be the one that would drop back. And my idea is that Gargano is going to hold this NXT Championship, defend it against some good names over the next year, and probably end up faced off against Ciampa again next year's WrestleMania Takeover, because Ciampa's injury is quite a long-term injury.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're saving it up again for another Gargano Ciampa. And I've got no problem with that. I love that, but they need to make sure they don't overdo it with that feud, because it's a fantastic feud, and they showcased a little bit of out-of-characterness at the end of the show, which was, I mean, it was out of character, but it was such a nice moment to see at the same time. And if you sort of watch the lip read of what was going on, Gargano was saying, "I'll keep this safe until you come back." It's essentially what he said.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what they're doing. And I feel like we're going to see Adam Cole and Undisputed Era move up to the main roster, which if they do, I hope to God they've got a reason for it.
Yeah.
Don't just do a sanity and go, yeah, we're bringing them up because we want to bring you up. Bring them up and attack someone. Make a feud out of it like the Shield did.
Yeah. I think for the case of Johnny Gargano as well, we mentioned this the other night. We were on the UK scene watching a lot of shows, most specifically Southside Wrestling. And they booked an event where Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens, known then as Kevin Steen, were performing. And I'd never heard of Johnny Gargano. I was told that he was really good. He was Dragon Gate heavyweight champion.
He was at the time, yeah.
So I was
longest
told,
reigning, I believe, at that time as well.
I was told that this one was for the future. And I never really took it for granted. I thought, okay, he's a good wrestler, quite small, good in the ring. But I couldn't really see him going above and beyond. And then last night, walking away as the NXT champion, I mean, to wrestle in front of 300, 400 fans, to then go in the Barclays Centre where there's close to 20,000 fans, and to walk away as the main champion for that brand. I mean, it's just a credit to Johnny Gargano.
One thing I did notice well from that show is that they seem to be talking about Candice a lot in the women's division as well. So
yeah,
I wonder,
promoting her with Aaliyah and that backstage skit. They will have her as the major face.
Yeah, I'm seeing next Takeover. I would not be surprised if we see both Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae holding the championships up together.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised about that at all, and that would allow Shayna then to concentrate more. And who knows, they could integrate. If I'm talking about, I'm really going conspiracy theory now. If we are looking at this this 4-on-4 horsewomen, what if the next Takeover? What if maybe Becky jumped the barricade and
assisted Candice to win the title
yeah.
over Baszler?
Yeah. I
Not
mean, it's real, just to sort of spam the shows and sort of spread it, which I think is a great idea to do, to try and do that sort of stuff. And
yeah.
it would be interesting to see, and I would not be surprised if that is something they look at in the future. But I'm interested now because over the next couple of weeks we're going to see who's going to be leaving NXT, moving up to the main roster. There's always a few after Mania. We'll see them over the next couple of days at Raw and SmackDown.
As long as they're handled better than Heavy Machinery, Ethan Carter III, EC3, and Lars Sullivan, you know, pick
Lacey
players
Evans.
and Lacey, easily forgettable.
Nikki Cross.
Again,
The Ascension.
We could go on
Sanity.
and on. We're going for the recent, people that have gone up.
Austin Aries.
And the latest batch have gone badly. They've not gone to the script. You know, it's one of them. But hopefully the next batch of talent that go up can really do the business.
As I said, I'm not a big fan of this mass call-up of that after Mania. I think that everyone should be brought up throughout the year only when there's a storyline for them. They need something to give them a springboard onto the main roster, get some fan base, get people behind them. If you just bring in EC3 and have him do an interview backstage and that's his debut and then you don't see him wrestle for another 2 weeks, it's never going to work.
No.
It's never going to work, and you've got to be a reason for these people to be promoted. Maybe having Gargano stay where he is for now might be beneficial for him in the long run.
Yeah.
And hopefully we just see Undisputed Era do something cool.
Hopefully go to the main roster.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
No worries.
So I think that's the end of this video. We're going to do another one of these on WrestleMania probably tomorrow or maybe today. I don't know when this will get uploaded. Depends how quickly my internet is going because it is absolutely slow as hell at the moment. So we'll get this uploaded as soon as possible. So do check that out as well. PJ Tovey is not overly excited about WrestleMania, but hopefully we're going to... That's good. If you're really disappointed about WrestleMania card, then surely the only way is up.
Yes, I'm not very expectant, but anything can happen at WrestleMania.
So if you're looking forward to hearing PJ Tovey bitch and moan about the main roster, then check out the next video tomorrow. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit like and of course subscribe if you want to see some more. I've been Shabby Gamer alongside
PJ Tovey.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
The one to do.